All right, I just double clicked on this data frame just so it'll pop up before I get finished talking here. Just explaining to you what we're going to do. So in this video, we will take a much larger data frame and combine things together over the years so that we sort of group by some different things. We'll then use a couple of the unstack, the sort by. We'll do a couple things in order to combine like years together based on the name or the sex or whatever. So we're just going to do a couple things in the data frames with Pandas in order to show you some of the power that it can do. I mean, we could do all of this with the for loops, but it's just so much, takes so much more time to do. So you want to get good at using data frames when you're dealing with something as large as this. Hopefully you saw how long it took for this thing to pop up. And just like I told you, the number here is not, it doesn't look like a number now just because there's so many, there's a million, almost 2 million pieces of data here. And if you just sort of grab it and go down, you can't even go down to the end very quickly. I mean, we're at 1900 now, but that's a lot of data in there. And so what we want to do is we want to use that data. So let me get out of here. All I did was I ran the code from last video, and now we're going to start messing around with it. Okay, so let's look at what if name was equal to Jake, and I want to know all the Jakes that were named between the years. So I'm not going to do this in 2 steps like I have been in the past. So df name is really equal to name, which is the variable, and then we want number. So I just want the number that comes out of that. And if I just put number here, it'll, let's see what it does. I didn't define name, of course. So if you don't do anything to aggregate this thing, it just gives you 164 years of data. So I mean, I could grab year too if we wanted. So again, know how to index. So this is the part in year. I think it's capital year. This is the part you're going to learn in Jupyter Notebook. Year is not an index. Oh, so name, number. Yeah, this is the part that you got to mess around with. Yeah, it doesn't like that. I mean, but it will give me the number. So what I probably need to do is .lock, give me all of the rows in these 2 columns. Yeah, this is not the number and year. So lock. Let's see what. Let's just do this. Okay, so this gives me all of the data, but I don't want all the data. I only want number and year. So how can we do that? I should be able to do .lock. And what is that? 0, 1, 2 to 3. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm putting a parenthesis on here. You can't put a parenthesis. And I should be able to in here put let's see, number. I gotta put it in so number. You gotta put it as a string, and then what? Year is lowercase. Oh, that's what it is. Oh, I've been messing this up the whole time because I changed year to capital letters in the last video. So I got this old version of it where year is still in lowercase letters. Okay, because that other one should have worked as well, I believe. Let me make sure that's true. Control C, Control V, and then where I was teaching to you guys about learning how to do this, I just did it wrong because I capitalized my year. Yes, it works. Okay, so either one of these 2 will work, It's just you got to have the name in the column right. And so all I needed to do was look over here. I don't know why I put a lowercase y on there. Anyway, so we get that. Now, if you want the total number of Jakes, which none of you guys are probably interested in, but I am, I'm going to put sum. So I'm going to take all of the Jakes and then number, right? So if I don't do anything here, it'll just give me the number. And then, but I don't want the number though. I want all of them added up. And I know there's 123,224 Jakes between 1880 and 2018. So that's pretty rare form here. I guess not really that rare. But the question is that can I now make maybe a data frame that contains all of the names and the number instead of having it kind of dispersed as years. So I want to come back. I want to create this new data. I'm gonna call it names database, and I want the names database to be grouped by. So I'm going to group by, and let's see. We're going to let it group by names and sex. Make sure I get that right as far as capital letters go. And then this won't do anything. So if I do this, I think it gives us a group by. It gives us some weird object. But if I end up aggregating it, it'll give us something. So some. Oh, of course. There's names. There is no names. Oh, it's just name. So names DB. So if I pull this up now, it has 109,000. So I aggregated some of those things together. But as you can see, it has somebody's name and then M, and that's 114. So it looks like it alphabetized this. So if I'm interested in Jake, well, I got to find JKL. So yeah, there's a bunch of them in here, and it's sort of hard to find. I should have used maybe a name at the beginning of the alphabet. All right, I'm jumping back and forth. So let's now take this, and then I don't like the way that the key, so check out the key again. The key, the index I should say, is a name and a sex. So I'm going to unstack that, which I believe, will square us away a little bit. But I don't know, I'm thinking it might look a little bit better. So let's see what happens. And then you get something like this, and now you get number of females and number of males. So nan, I don't like that. So I got to tell it to, and I think you learned this next class, fill NA. So any of the nans, this thing will fill with a 0, which is exactly what we want. So come back, and you can see that Abha and Abid had 0 females but 16 males. Abida had 5 females and 0 males, and so on and so forth. So you can see the results of it. But what if I want to now, I don't know, let's just print that thing. I don't think I need, here I can just run it like this. I'm going to highlight it and press F9, and you can see what that thing at the top, so that thing might look like this, but really it's a multi-index, a multi-level, a hierarchical indexed thing where number is the overall arching thing that is being summed here, but then you got it branched out by female and male. So these are the number of females and that's the number of males, so it's the number of those. So it might look funny in this little spider version of it, but when you print it out, you can kind of see that it's a multi-level index. All right, so names, let's see, names db dot columns. I just want to show you guys what this is. So that's the multi-index, the number and female, number and male, and it shows you what the names. We haven't named that upper level version of it, but that's okay. How about names db dot head? So if you just want to see the first couple pieces of it, that's what happens there. Names db dot location, and we're going to go from Jake to John. I don't know. I'm just going to making this up as I go along and see what happens here. Hopefully it's not too big. Well, it is too big. Maybe let me grab this one. Control C, Control V. Yeah, it probably would take me a while. Jacob. Yeah, it looks like Jacob. Anyway, so there's yeah, it was 4,900. Never mind. I was thinking I could change it by a little bit, and so I've captured 4,910 rows of this, and just by print, like if I hit print, it will not come out. Like it won't give me all 4,910 rows of that. So just know that as well. All right. Suppose we want the top 100 male names and the top 100 female names. That's a simple names DB, names database, and this is a sort values. So sort by, I should say. Sort, no, it's a sort values. Sort value. I can tell because it wasn't really doing anything. And then by, then I tell it the column that I wanted to sort by. In this case, there's going to be number. It's going to be a tuple, number and male. Let's see. I wanted to ascend or ascending to be false. And I only want the top 100. So I think it's .iloc, and then it's a bracket, not a parenthesis. And I want the top 100 rows and every column. Let's see what that does for us. That down. All right, so let's do that. I don't know, see what happens. And then run this, F9. Okay, so it looks like what it did was it went in and it sorted by males. It got me the biggest male, which is James. John is the second one, 500, was that 5 million or 500? Yeah, 5,163,783 Jameses. 5,120,000. Oh, yeah, so we want to print those to the screen because right now it's only giving me the top 2, 3, 4, 5 and the bottom 5, but there's 100 of those bad boys in there. And if you think you could just say print top 100 males, then you're wrong. It's only going to give us what we just put in there, so that's no good. Let's see, what do I want to point out? Oh, let's do this. Let's just understand what's in here. So 100 males dot index. James. So this is the index, and it's underneath name. So that'll give us James. If we want the month one, it'll give us what? Hopefully you see that that's going to be John, right? So I can pull out this information using this index attribute, and then top 100 males dot, I think it's values. We'll try and see. And then I'm going to go, let's see, 0, 0. And hopefully that's 2003,401, and it is. So I don't want 2003,401. I want the second one. So I'm going to do 01, and we get the 516,000, which is that guy right there. Okay, so I'm going to use this top 100 males. I only got 100 of them in there, so it's only 100 big. But I'm going to just cycle through this thing, and I'm going to print it out exactly the way I want it to print out. So I just wanted to show that as well. So sometimes you're going to have to go in and tell it to do exactly what you want it to do. So range 0 through length of top 100 mils. And we wanted to print an F string, and the first F string, or first thing we want it to go is I plus 1, and I'm going to give it a width of 3. And then females dot index. So that'll give us the name. Remember when we did it up here, this index gave us John or James and then John, or John and James. James is the first. James is the one that has the most 5 million people named James since 1880. And then let's see, I think I experimented with this one and I think 12 works, but we'll see if it doesn't. Then maybe give us another top 100 dot values. And then at that point I want, let's see, I comma, and let's end F. Yeah, something like that. And then I want a comma here. So that's the only thing I'm going to give for those values. I mean, going here and making sure that I'm in the right spot here, I don't really like that. So let's find out what happens. If it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. Oh, look at that. Looks like it did something. Maybe I can even give it an int here. I don't like the decimal place and something that we're counting. So I'm going to int that guy and see if that's better, if that looks nicer, and I think it does. So you can now see, you know, James 5 million. I mean, so now I don't know if you guys remember it, a few minutes ago I was like 516,000. No, that's 5 million. Okay, wait a second, I got to say something different. But now you can see all of the top 100 names and how many of them were, right? So this sort of gives you the ranking. Vincent's number 97, and there were 341,151. That's the kind of information that's I don't know, that's informative. And we could do the same thing with females. I'll leave that as an exercise for you guys. And now what I want to do now is I want to go back to the original data frame, and I want to snag some of those numbers. I'm going to create this very straightforward sort of time series and then graphic. So name time is equal to df name is really equal to name. In this case, it'll be Grover, hopefully. And then the things that I want to get out of it are, let's see, we want year, and we want number, and then, oops, I forgot to put my extra bracket on there. So you got to put an extra bracket on here, but to tell it that there, so this bracket tells it that you want to index into there, and this bracket tells you there's a list of things that I want to index in there. And then I'm going to group by. Think for a second, what do we want it to group by? I want it to group by year, because I want to sum up the males and females. Otherwise, this time series is gonna look funky. It could possibly look funky if you have like 5,000 Jakes and then only 2 Jakes females, and it'll jump back and forth. So I'm gonna group by year, and then dots. All right, so that'll be the name time. That'll be another data frame. So all I'm doing is grabbing a data frame out of there. So F9. I got this data frame, and we can look at it real quick. And what it is all the Grovers back in 1880, and then all the Grovers. Oh, it looks like there's a huge jump. I wonder if Grover Cleveland was the president in around this time, because that's possible, right? So a lot of times celebrities or whatever, people start naming their kids after celebrities. But I don't know. I should probably know that because of history. But let's see, 1971. I am one of those 99 Grovers right there. All right. So name time, and then for I in range length of name time. Let's print an F string that does something. I don't know. Let's go with name time dot index I name time dot values right, the 0 column, and then just print that sucker off. Happens here. All right, F9. And you can see all of the growth. I mean, you could have got that with me just hitting the little button up there, but I wanted to print them off to the screen real quick, kind of nicely. And then the last thing I do is I want to have them throw in a graph. And so another cool thing, and I think we showed the histogram a second ago. Another thing that you can do is if you have this name time in a series, I can just tell it to plot, and it'll use the index as the x-axis, and it'll use the number that's in the series as the y-axis. It does say data frame, so hopefully this works. Okay. So as you can see, Grover over time, sort of, I guess there was maybe this was when Grover Cleveland was the president, I don't know. But it looks like there was some time when it was popular. I shouldn't say popular, I mean, there's only 800. But there was some time when it was more popular than it certainly is now. Even though there was Grover on Sesame Street, nobody really cared about him. What about Jake? Do this with your own name, sort of see over time things went down, and looks like Jake has just become, probably because of me, I'm totally joking, but in the recently, it's sort of, you know, popularity is sort of relative, right? Because if I did, was it James, I think was the most popular, it probably is really high all the time. Ooh, no, it's like it's kind of waning in the number of people that are naming their kids James. But look at what you're dealing with, though. I mean, it's still more than obviously than Jake is, even relatively. But relatively, though, right, compared to its peak back in it was 1940 something, in the close to 100,000 people were named James or Jim or whatever back then. Yeah, I thought Michael was it. Let's see. Yeah, see what that looks like over time. And nobody was named Michael up until like 1940. Then everybody was named it. How about Jacob? This is probably boring you guys. You can stop the video. I'm basically done now. Just kind of messing around now and seeing. Okay, so there's lots of Jacobs here, especially back there when I named my son Jacob. It was like it was peaked out. Okay, that's all we got. Hopefully you guys got something out of this, and we'll see you next time.